Hey friends, and welcome back to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, where we blend calm stories with beautiful English learning. Today, we're walking through an empty train station where nothing moves but your thoughts. Or maybe today, we're sitting quietly on a wooden bench beside a quiet road, waiting for something that might not come. And somehow, in that waiting, we find stillness and a kind of gentle understanding. If you enjoy learning English through slow, immersive stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, or share the podcast, only if it feels right to you. Now get cozy, maybe light a candle or pour some tea, and let's begin. You arrive early, earlier than you needed to. You didn't mean to. You just woke up feeling like today would move slowly. So you left the house before the clock said it was time. You put on your jacket even though it was warm. And you walked the extra block, the long way, with no rush in your steps. The bus isn't due for another 15 minutes, maybe 20. You don't check your phone. You don't even look at the schedule posted on the sign. You just sit down. The bench is old, wood worn smooth from years of waiting. There's a carved name on one side, the letters shallow and soft. You trace them lightly with your finger, then fold your hands in your lap and breathe. The road is empty for now. A bird calls out from a telephone wire. You look up. The sky is pale, almost silver, with soft clouds that don't seem in a hurry either. You sit back and stretch your legs out in front of you, ankles crossed. The sun hasn't climbed too high yet, but its warmth is beginning to press gently against your shoulders. There's a tree just behind the bench. Its leaves move slowly, lazily, like they're trying not to wake anyone. You shift your weight, feeling the small creak of wood beneath you. Still no bus. Still no movement. And that's okay. You weren't going to be late anyway. You were going to take the 9:20. You were going to arrive a little early for the meeting. You were going to sit near the back of the room and keep your voice soft. You were going to nod politely, maybe speak once, then leave before the coffee ran out. You were going to do all those things. But right now, none of them are happening. Right now, you're just here, on the bench, listening, waiting. The sound of a car in the distance grows louder, then fades again. A delivery truck, maybe. Or someone who has somewhere to be. You don't envy them. You're not in a rush. In fact, you can't remember the last time you sat still this long before something began. You look down at your hands. They're folded neatly, fingers laced. There's a little ink mark on your thumb, from the pen you always carry. You wonder if you should write something down. A thought, a sentence, a word that floats into your mind and wants to stay a while. But the pen stays in your pocket. Some words don't need to be written. Some just want to rest inside you. You lean back a little farther, your shoulders settling into the curve of the bench. Still no bus. And now it's been, how long? You don't know, and you don't mind. Because something about this moment feels important. Even if you can't say why. Something about this silence. The soft shuffle of wind. The distant hum of the city. The creak of your shoes against concrete. It all feels like a kind of beginning. You were going to get somewhere today. You still might. But for now, you're exactly where you are. And the bench holds you like a gentle hand, saying, "Stay just a little longer." You lean forward slightly, elbows on your knees now, fingers loosely clasped. You're not waiting in the same way you were before. You're still here, on the bench, yes. But something has shifted. You've become part of the stillness, part of the scene. And the world around you has started to speak. Not loudly, not with words, but with tiny movements, tiny wonders. A woman walks past on the far sidewalk. She's holding a brown paper bag close to her chest, and her shoes make a soft tapping sound that fades as she moves away. Her hair lifts gently in the breeze. She doesn't look up. She doesn't see you. But you notice everything about her in just 5 quiet seconds. A small dog barks from a balcony above, the kind of bark that isn't angry, Just bored. It echoes once, then stops. You breathe slowly, taking it all in. Across the street, a bicycle is leaned against a lamppost. It has a blue milk crate tied to the back, and one of the handlebars is wrapped in tape. You imagine the person who left it there. Maybe they were going to get coffee. Maybe they always stop at this exact place. Maybe they'll be back soon. Your eyes follow a piece of trash dancing down the sidewalk. A plastic wrapper, lifted and pushed by the wind like it's trying to fly. It twists and turns, bumps into the curb, then continues its journey, invisible and light. The clouds above have changed shape. When you first sat down, they were long and stretched thin. Now they're rounder, softer. They move slowly, but they are moving. You hadn't noticed. You thought everything was still. But even here, on this sleepy little street, change is always happening. You check the street again. No bus. Still. But your mind doesn't go to frustration. You don't sigh or roll your eyes or reach for your phone. Instead, you notice the cracks in the pavement. One of them has a weed growing from it. Green, bright, defiant. Its leaves shake slightly when the breeze rolls by. You think, I wasn't going to notice that. You weren't going to see the man on the bicycle across the road. You weren't going to see the cracked tile on the bench beside you, or the way the sun now reaches just one of your shoes, warming the tip of it gently. You weren't going to feel the wind tugging softly at your sleeve, or the way your heart slows when you're not being pulled forward. You were going to be on the bus by now, going to the next thing, going to the next place, going to check your messages, going to reply with, "Sorry I'm late." You were going to be in motion. But now you're still, and in that stillness, the world has opened up. You look at the tree behind you again. One of its branches sways more than the others. The leaves catch the light just so, flashing silver for half a second. You smile. Just a little. Just for yourself. A boy passes on a scooter, one foot pushing against the ground. His hair is messy, and his backpack swings loosely from one shoulder. He doesn't look at you. But as he zooms past, he leaves behind a trail of laughter. One loud, joyful burst, and then he's gone. You whisper to yourself, he wasn't going to slow down. You weren't either. But here you are. And the bench beneath you is no longer just a place to wait. It's become a space to notice, to breathe, to soften. You shift again. This time placing your hands flat on your thighs. The warmth of the sun has climbed to your chest now, and it feels good. Not hot, not heavy, just present. And suddenly, you're not really waiting anymore. You're witnessing. You're being. And somehow, that feels like enough. You glance up the road again. Still no sign of the bus. No engine rumble. No flashing lights. No shape growing slowly in the distance. Just the same empty stretch of asphalt. The same quiet space between now and next. You let out a slow breath. But it isn't heavy. It's not frustration. It's release. You sit back on the bench, your shoulders softer than before. You run your fingers along the edge of the seat. It's chipped in places, the paint long faded. Someone once painted it green, maybe, but now it's mostly gray. You think it was going to arrive by now. That's what you told yourself when you left the house. It was going to take you to the office. It was going to carry you past the river, past the bakery on the corner, past the mural with the fox and the stars. It was going to move you forward, one stop at a time. But it hasn't come. And strangely, that's okay. You don't stand up. You don't pace. You don't look at your phone. You don't even feel the need to guess how late it is now. You just stay. Because staying has become part of the experience. The longer you sit, the more time loses its edges. The minutes no longer feel sharp. They feel like ripples, like echoes, like petals drifting from a flower, slow and quiet and certain. A soft breeze crosses your face. You close your eyes for a moment. You weren't going to rest this morning. You weren't going to feel this peaceful. You weren't going to learn anything. But here you are, and you've learned the way light looks when it slides through branches. You've learned the pattern of traffic on a quiet street. You've learned what your body feels like when it isn't being pulled by a schedule. The sound of a door opening makes you turn your head. An old man steps outside a corner shop, a loaf of bread in one hand. He holds the bag carefully, as if it might float away. He looks up and down the street once, then steps back inside without a word. You smile at the quiet rhythm of it all. You were going to hurry. Now you wonder why. You were going to keep moving. Now you wonder if movement is always needed. You trace a small circle with your shoe on the pavement. The dust rises, then settles. A fly buzzes nearby, then disappears. The sun climbs just a little higher. Still no bus. But the feeling of waiting has softened. It's no longer expectation. It's just presence. You reach into your pocket and pull out the pen. You still don't write anything, but you hold it in your hand, twirling it gently between your fingers. It feels like permission. You look up and say quietly to no one, "Maybe I'm not going today." And as soon as the words leave your mouth, they feel right. Not dramatic, not sad, just real. You might still go. The next bus could come. The plan could still unfold. But maybe not. And if it doesn't, maybe you'll walk home. Or maybe you'll sit here a while longer. Watch the clouds. Watch the cracks in the sidewalk. Watch the wind carry pieces of the day from one place to another. You weren't going to change anything today, but now it seems something inside you already has. You whisper to yourself again, "It's okay." And it is, whether the bus comes or not. You sit quietly, still on the bench. Still no bus. And by now, it's not just late. It's likely not coming. But you don't stand. You don't sigh. You don't even look for a sign or explanation. Instead, you begin talking. Not out loud, not to anyone else, just to yourself. The way a person does when the outside world goes silent and the inner one begins to hum. At first, it's only a whisper of a thought. I should probably go. But you don't move. Then another. They're going to wonder why I didn't show up. And you pause. Because that voice, the one in your head, it doesn't sound angry. It doesn't sound anxious. It just sounds soft. Like it's not quite sure anymore what matters and what doesn't. You shift on the bench, stretching one leg, then the other. You think, I could text someone, say I'm running late, say I'll catch the next one. But your phone stays in your pocket, because none of that feels necessary now. Because maybe, just maybe, you weren't meant to go at all today. The thought isn't rebellious. It's not even a decision. It's just a cloud that drifts across your mind and stays a little longer than the others. You weren't going to question anything, but here you are asking gently, what was I going to say at the meeting, anyway? Was I going to speak? Or just nod and take notes? Was I going to pretend to care when I felt tired inside? These thoughts aren't sharp. They don't sting. They just pass through. You rest your hands on your knees. You whisper, again, only inside your mind, I think I needed this, and you believe it. The tree behind you sways slightly. Its shadow reaches farther now, curling across the sidewalk like a blanket. You think about time again. Not as numbers, not as a schedule, but as something soft. A place you can sit in. A shape you can rest against. You weren't going to stay here this long. You weren't going to talk to yourself. You weren't going to remember the version of you that once enjoyed simply sitting. But here they are, your younger selves. The one who used to lie in the grass and name clouds. The one who used to wait for buses with a notebook full of poems. The one who thought waiting was part of the magic, not a waste. You smile. Not big, just a little. Like your body is saying, welcome back. Another car passes. The driver doesn't notice you. Or maybe they do and wonder why you look so peaceful on a bench beside a road where nothing is happening. But, you're not waiting anymore. You're reflecting, and that's different. You close your eyes for a moment and think, if I were going to speak to someone right now, I'd say something small. Something true. Maybe. I thought I had somewhere to be, but I didn't. Or The world feels quieter when I stop trying to move through it too fast. You open your eyes again. Still no bus. But now you know that's not the point anymore. This bench, this road, this quiet little space between moments. It was always going to teach you something. And now it has. The thought comes gently. You don't chase it, and it doesn't push. It just arrives like a soft breeze. I'm not going to take the bus today. Not in frustration, not in protest, just in peace. You look at the road again, more out of habit than hope. The space where the bus should have appeared remains unchanged. And for once, you're not measuring time by schedules or delays. You're measuring it by how quiet your breath has become. You uncross your legs, stretch them out in front of you, then bring them back again. The bench creaks beneath your shifting weight, as if nodding in agreement. You won't go. You don't need to explain it to anyone yet. You don't even need to explain it to yourself. You simply know. You rise slowly from the bench. Not in a hurry, not with purpose, just with softness. You walk a few steps down the sidewalk, then stop. You turn around. You look at the bench, and something about it feels different now. Like it knows you better. Like it held your decision before you even made it. You smile, because you weren't going to let go of the plan. You weren't going to release the expectation. You weren't going to admit how tired you were. But the bench helped. The stillness helped. The not knowing helped. You turn and begin walking, not toward the bus stop across town, not toward the next destination, but back the way you came. Your feet move slowly, purposefully. You pass the corner where the boy rode his scooter, the cracked sidewalk, the breeze that now feels cooler than before. And with each step, a new thought appears. I was going to go, but I stayed. I was going to speak, but I listened. I was going to rush, but I breathed instead. There's power in those sentences, not because they shout, but because they settle. You pass a small patch of flowers poking up through the fence. You hadn't seen them this morning. But now, they seem vivid, real. Like they're part of your decision, too. You weren't going to walk this way, but here you are. A couple passes you on the sidewalk. Their heads are close together, talking quietly. Their conversation drifts past your ears in fragments. Something about dinner. Something about a phone call. Something about not knowing what comes next. You nod slightly to them, though they don't see you. You think, they weren't going to notice me either. But we shared a moment anyway. You glance up at the sky. Clouds have moved again. The wind has changed. And you're not who you were when you sat down on that bench. You're someone who allowed the moment to rewrite the day. You reach your street corner and pause. The mailbox is still crooked. The ivy is still climbing. But the world feels new again. Softer around the edges. Like a book you once read slowly and finally understood. You place your hand on the gate and let it rest there. No phone calls were made. No meetings attended. No schedule followed. And yet, you arrived somewhere important. You whisper quietly, I wasn't going to stay. But I'm so glad I did. And inside those words is something larger than a change of plans. Inside those words is a new way of being. You sit again. This time, not on the bench, but at home. By the window. A cup of something warm in your hands. Steam curling gently into the late morning light. And though you're somewhere else now, part of you is still sitting beside the road, watching leaves dance in the breeze. Your thoughts begin to drift, not only to the silence, not only to the breeze, but to the words that followed you through that quiet wait. They weren't loud. They didn't come from books or teachers. They came from the quiet, from the space between what was going to happen and what actually did. You smile as you remember your early thoughts. I was going to take the 9:20 bus. It's such a soft phrase. Was going to. The sound of something planned but undone. A future you expected, quietly erased by the present. You think about how often that form has lived in your language. I was going to send the message. I was going to speak up. I was going to be brave today. Sometimes you did. Sometimes you didn't. But the shape of the sentence stayed the same. Honest, gentle, full of emotion. And there was more. You remember sitting there thinking, it might still come. Might. Such a tender word. Like a door slightly open. A curtain swaying in the wind. The bus might come. Someone might be waiting for me. I might not go after all. Might doesn't make promises. It holds possibilities. It wraps around doubt and hope at the same time. You breathe it out once, softly. Might. The cup warms your fingers. And then another thought returns. The one you whispered near the end. I should probably go. But you didn't. And that should... It didn't scold you. It didn't command. It was soft, like an old friend reminding you of something, then letting you decide. You look out the window now and speak the phrase again. I should have gone. But the words aren't heavy. They don't land like regret. They land like reflection. Like the leaves on the sidewalk. You think again about all the things you were going to do. I was going to sit in the back of the meeting. I was going to speak when it was my turn. I was going to pretend I wasn't tired. Each was going to held a version of you. And yet, the version that stayed on the bench, the one who noticed the tree, the wrapper, the boy on the scooter, that version taught you something more. That waiting is not just about time. It's about space. It's about seeing the words we live with when no one else is speaking. Words like, maybe, soon, later, still, enough. You sip from your cup again, and the warmth follows you down. The grammar of the morning wasn't written on a page. It was written on the air, in silence, in motionless choice. And you realize you don't need to memorize it, you lived it. The past. The not quite future. The quiet in between. You whisper one more phrase. It was going to be just another day. But now, it became something else entirely. Later, still at home, the mug now empty beside you, you begin to think about the words you didn't say. The conversations you imagined while sitting on that bench. The quiet ones. Never out loud, never written down, just shaped in the breath between one moment and the next. What would you have said if someone had sat next to you? Maybe, I think the bus isn't coming. Or, I was going to leave, but I stayed. Simple thoughts. But behind them, so much weight. You turn those sentences over in your mind, like pebbles in your hand. Their edges are smooth now, worn down by silence. And you notice the way modal verbs, those soft, shifting words like might, would, could, should, began to appear. You weren't studying them. They just arrived. Natural, easy, honest. You think, I might have gone if it had arrived sooner. I could have rushed, but I didn't. I would have missed all this quiet if I hadn't stayed. And there they are. Those small words that open up new possibilities. They don't shout. They don't demand. They suggest. They invite. They hold doors open just long enough for you to choose your way through. You feel their rhythm now. Would have, could have, might have. Not heavy, just gentle steps toward understanding yourself. You say softly, not to anyone in particular, I would have made it to the meeting, but I stayed instead. And it feels good to say. Not because it's perfect, but because it's true. You think back to the way the day began. I was going to take the 9:20, and now, at the end of it, the language you've used has shifted. I might go tomorrow. I should check the schedule next time. I would like to wait again, even without a reason. Those phrases carry more than grammar. They carry intention, reflection, choice. You whisper another one into the stillness of the room. It might have looked like I was doing nothing. But I was noticing everything. And in that noticing, you became a student of the moment. Not a student of rules, but of rhythm. Of how we speak to ourselves when no one's listening. Of how we shape our thoughts when the world goes quiet. There was a time when you might have rushed home. There was a time when you would have been frustrated. There was a time when you should have checked your phone again and again. But not today. Today you sat. You waited. And your language waited with you. Not behind a textbook. Not inside a rule. But beside you, on a wooden bench, watching the world in small pieces. You rise now. Stretch your arms slowly. Feel the joints crack gently, like the branches of that tree. One last phrase drifts into your mind. I was going to learn something today, and you did, but it wasn't what you expected. And that's the best kind of learning. The afternoon fades. Light curls across the floor like the soft ending of a long, quiet song. You sit with your hands folded in your lap again, the way you did this morning. The cup is empty. The room is still. But your thoughts, they're gentler now. You picture the bench, still there, still quiet, still waiting for someone, and you smile, because you know it's waiting not just for anyone, but for you, again, if you choose. You whisper softly, without needing a reason. I was going to leave, but I stayed. And that phrase feels like a poem. You let your thoughts return to the most beautiful phrases from today. I might have missed this. I could have rushed, but I didn't. I would have forgotten the sky, the wind, the cracks in the pavement. You remember the breeze through the tree, the boy on the scooter, the leaves that danced without needing to know where they were going. You repeat one phrase aloud, slowly. It might have looked like nothing was happening, but everything was. And the truth of that settles into you. You learned grammar today, yes, but not through study, through stillness. You lived the past and was going to. You lived the future in might and should, and you found yourself somewhere in between. Right where language becomes breath, you say one more thing to yourself, softly. I wasn't going to learn anything today, but I did. Then you close your eyes, and when you open them again, the room is the same. But you are not. You are someone who knows the value of a missed bus. Someone who sees the meaning in a moment that stretches. Someone who understands that not every lesson comes with a pen and a page. Some just come with a pause, a bench, and a little time. So now, friend, if you'd like, say one of your own phrases aloud. Just one. Let it stay with you. Maybe write it down. Maybe whisper it before sleep. Let it become part of the way you move through the world. And if you enjoyed this story, I'd love if you followed or shared it with someone else who's learning English. It helps this gentle little podcast reach more people. Until next time, may your waiting be soft. May your words be kind. And may your language feel like a bench in the sun.